Welcome, it's another podcast moment of Digital Voices. Today I am with Stephanie. We won't put her last name on the air, but Stephanie and I are going to have a talk. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about the things that are important to us, things that are happening right now while we're underneath this quarantine, and see what happens. So I want everybody to say hello to Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie.
Hello.
How are you?
Good,
Okay. So, what's new with you, girl?
not too much. Living the dream at home.
Oh, yeah. Seems like we're all living the dream right now, right?
Yeah.
Sitting at home, nothing to do, not a lot of money because we're not working.
Mm-hmm. Watching the weather be bipolar.
Yeah, well, yeah. Crazy weather, right? Maybe that's why they call it the crazy weather, because it's fucking bipolar.
Probably. I think it's matching a lot of people's personalities right now.
Yeah, it's all coming together right now. So Stephanie, you recently got to be a manager for a local hotel. Mm-hmm. It's going to be exciting.
It can be.
What's your high point? How long have you worked there so far?
A little bit over a year.
Oh, okay. So you've seen some shit.
Yeah.
You've had one or two people come up and complain about the service, right?
Oh, definitely. That part I don't mind. That's actually the enjoyment of my job, because I like to turn people's days around. So
Nice. You turn the frown upside down?
Yep.
Nice. Wow.
I mean, it's my job.
I'll leave that with a any good stories? Tell us about the battlefield. What's the day in the trench look like for you?
Well, I'm a housekeeping manager, but I also do front desk and office managing, even though those aren't my job.
So they're kind of taking advantage of you and not paying you what you're worth. Is that what you're saying?
To an extent. I'm the only person that's kind of the jack of all trades, so they take advantage, which I don't mind because it looks good on my resume.
Yeah, I respect that.
I'll use them just as much as they use me for now.
So, how are you and your friends holding up in this crazy quarantine environment? Anybody really flipping out? I have a couple of my friends that have just really gone off the deep end.
I did.
Some conspiracy theory shit that, pretty far right wing kind of shit.
Well, when life doesn't make sense, you have to try and make sense out of things that aren't logical.
Amen. That's exactly the reason that they do that too. Mm-hmm. That's very, very astute of you.
I think most people try and find a peace of mind in anything that kind of, oh, this sounds better, we'll go with this for today. At least it gets them through the day. Right.
And at the end of the day, it's all about what gets you through to the end of the day. Am I right?
Lots of snacks.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, it's the comfort food or the alcohol or perhaps a bowl or two, whatever floats your boat.
A lot of Netflix.
Yeah. This is the sad thing. I've seen pretty much everything I want to see on Netflix, and I have to wait every month till the new shit comes out.
I did that with Disney in like the first week.
Oh, yeah. I definitely watch a little too much TV and movie shit.
I do that.
Fortunately, now I have podcasting to add to my daily lineup, so I'm not always stuck in front of the TV. Now it's the computer screen.
It's a little more stimulating.
Yeah, well, it can be. Depends on what website I'm on.
Right.
Wink, wink.
Stimulating.
Oh, this champagne is...
It's very good.
You know, when I said, what bottle do you want? And you're like, the black one. I thought it was a little racist.
You kind of pointed at me. So you're like, choose the black one.
I did.
You were the suggestive one.
Once you go black, you never go back.
I'm like, whatever.
Meh.
Meh.
So, this podcast episode, we're paying tribute to Bel Air Rare Rose.
The black bottle.
The black bottle. Sounds kind of hot.
Is it though? The black
you have like
bottle?
one of those like phone operator voices that I'd like to call into.
Thank you.
Hi.
Or the elevator. I always do that when I'm like doing my credit card for like an online order. I'll say the numbers out loud. 723. Drives my son insane. He's like, Mom, we're not in an elevator. Yes, we are. Thank you.
Oh, that's so awesome. Now passing 5.
Right? I do that to my mom too when she calls. I'm like, hello, thank you for calling. And she's like, hello, Steph? I'm like, hey, Mom, what's up?
God damn it. Fell for it again. Yeah, I do. You know, it's funny. I do the same kind of stuff. Just a little different. I'm more of an impressionist.
It's entertaining.
It is. I like my impressions. It gets me through the day. That's all I'm saying. And I don't know. So I have like these different sound banks. Oh. Get to the chopper now. Where I have like all these like different sound effects.
Random. Now mimic.
Yeah. Termination in 3, 2. Get to the chopper now. Just wait till I have the headsets. It'll be much better. Because it makes you feel like you're into it.
Right.
Probably, I don't know. Do you still feel into it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, guess it's just me.
I've had a cheap system for a long time. I could get away with this.
Yeah, I've been spoiling myself for a couple of years now.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. But, you know, I look at it this way. If I can use it for dual purpose, right, I can both have an amazing home system that I take to the bar.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, my neighbors hate me, and
I
my bar people love me. So, you know.
Pros and cons.
Yeah.
But the real question is, if you bring your own stuff, do you get a little more like, don't touch my shit?
Not so much. Well, my stuff's so big and bulky and durable that I don't really have to worry about people like confiscating it, or you know what I mean, like running off with it.
Stick it in their pocket and run.
Right. The worst I have to worry about is maybe something getting spilled or something like that, or I don't know. There's been a few women that have sat on those subwoofers. I get a little nervous about that.
Do you?
Well,
you don't like encourage it?
Well, I do, but the problem is wetness and electricity don't go along. You know what I mean? So.
And that's, ladies and gentlemen, why they cover subwoofers in carpet.
Yes. And mine are not covered in carpet. Does the carpet match the drapes?
It did.
for my subwoofer.
Helps soak some up that moisture.
There's that
That's
phone
nasty.
operator voice again.
That's nasty. You keep a spray bottle on handy, some wet wipes.
Disinfectant. Yeah, I have a biodome. It's like a biobarrier kind of thing that I use. I think it's called
Words are hard sometimes.
They're very difficult. What's that thing that you insert and it covers so that it's a female protection without using a rubber?
Oh, the little cup thingy?
Yeah, diaphragm.
Yeah.
Bingo.
You're welcome.
Yeah, sorry.
Glad it could help. The first thing that popped in my head was tampon. It's protection.
I used to use those for nosebleeds. Incredibly, they work well.
I was going to say, I've heard they work. I have tiny nostrils. That wouldn't work for me.
Yeah. You probably don't want to use the plus size.
Yeah, don't do that. I know some people that could, though.
Interesting.
No judgment.
No, not judging. No judgments. I know some that could use the wings and still need a little extra.
Can you imagine using that as a mask now for COVID?
Well, why not? It's got to be better than the homemade stuff.
And at least it's like stuck to your face. You don't have to worry about.
Because what it really shows is the homemade ones. They don't have like proper filtration. They're just using like
cloth.
Yeah. So.
But the proper filtration really isn't much any It's not any better.
No. So why not use that?
Why? How about not use anything? Oh my God! I can breathe on my own.
Oh, holy cow! I totally just got talking. I don't even know what to say to that. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
I'm at a loss for words again.
Makes me nervous. It's like the only one I can do for Brooklyn. Nervous.
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 Oh, you don't have that corona thing, do you? You're coughing.
Yep, all in there.
Is it the 18 or the 19? Because if it's 18, we're okay.
I did have...
And why is it COVID-19? Was there 18 other versions of it?
It started in 19. That I assumed that.
It started in 19?
It did. It started in November of 19 in China. It didn't start in the 20s. We just got,
Well, now they're saying that it's actually gone back for a lot longer. It's been around for a while.
Coronavirus
It's been stalking us like a tiger.
That's what happens when you eat bats.
It's like, crikey. We had the coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
See how it took out that croc?
Right?
I miss Steve.
I do too. His kids are brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
And gorgeous.
Oh, my goodness. Bindi, is that her name?
She's just
What a little doll.
stunning.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, I heard that his son got bit by a venomous snake. He's okay. He's okay.
I wonder how many times Steve got bit, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
Several. That's where they got some of their vaccines. Just to have Steve test it out willingly.
Yeah. Steve was the man.
Yeah, he was.
He seemed to have no fear. I think there's more than a few times that I was like, whoa, wait. Fuck that. You know,
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's funny, not too many people judge Steve, but when it comes to the Tiger King...
Oh, that's a hot button topic right now.
It is. And it's so funny, because I saw it on Netflix before this whole thing popped up, and everybody's like, oh, we should watch this. And I'm like, oh, I'm ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Well, and I saw it before it became popular, too.
Mm-hmm. My son was excited about the Tigers, so we watched it.
Well, and it was... So a couple things. Totally think that guy is deserving his place within prison.
Agreed.
He's a little out there, and definitely...
That was generous.
He is a Floridian. They're all a little off. Might be the water.
The water.
Maybe it's heat stroke. I don't know.
Could be the tiger feces. I don't know.
They got snakes in the brain. I have no
Marrying
idea.
straight gay guys.
What's that?
Marrying straight gay guys. That was weird.
Yeah.
How could you not know?
I always figured if you're gay, you kind of know you're gay, right? Mm-hmm. Even 5-year-old Bobby, who's playing with the Barbie dolls and the girls, rather than doing... That
doesn't mean you like penis.
No, but you can kind of tell when... Not always. So, I mean, there's a lot of gray. But there's definitely a lot of kids that I've known who were really little shits. And I was like, oh, that motherfucker's going to be gay. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And lo and behold, 18 years later, kid finally comes out to mom and dad's pissed off. And I'm like, dude, you didn't know? Really?
Right? They put the blinders on when you're parents, though.
Yeah. Well, I think you want your kids to be better than you were.
Right.
And so that's that throws a lot of them for a loop when they have a son or a daughter that ends up.
But it's not out of the norm, and I think people just, put it behind closed
it's
doors to
so
make
much
it
more accepted in a way that I think is healthy.
I think it's better, but sadly at the same time, now that it is open, not saying that it shouldn't be, but it seems that the more homosexuality side of it's turned more into a sexual thing than a life preference of love. And we're trying to spread love, and then when you start trying to, I don't give a shit who you put your dick into. Like, more power to you. But when it comes to the other side, judging the straight couples is where it's like, there's a bit of controversy. You're kind of taking a couple steps back, getting your rights.
No, I agree with that.
Clothesline yourself.
Yeah. I had that effect on myself. Oh, you know what? I'm feeling like a cigarette.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Do it up. This is what happens when you have champagne.
Oh, no.
A certain type of beverage.
It means I have to go find my ashtray. Here, you can take the headphones.
Okay.
I like headphones because you always sound different to yourself than you do to other people. But when you have headphones on, you sound the same. And you're like, oh.
Ho ho.
Yeah, did I mention I quit smoking?
Good. Oh yeah, last year.
So we'll be using it.
It's working well for you because I came with a new pack.
Giant booby, you're gonna kill me.
You want your headphones back?
No, I think you can hold on to them for a second.
I'm stuck though.
Oh, yeah, that's as far as you go. You can give them back.
Okay. You're not working for me.
Yeah, I need a longer cord.
Y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Yeah. I think this is like a 3-foot.
How's that what they call
You don't like them that small, do you?
it? Yeah. Exactly. There you
It
go.
is good to see you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love the accent.
Oh, don't get me started on my English accent. I could do it all day. Oh, you got it
Oh.
on fire?
I like to light all my bitches' cigarettes.
Bitches and cigarettes. And champagne.
Oh, yes. Nothing gets the podcast going like a bottle of Chablis. Or the Black Rose.
Rosé.
Rosé. Bel Air. The Red Rose.
Let's see, where is it from? Does it say? Product de France.
Oh, oui, oui.
This beautifully sparkling rosé is crafted from grapes selected from the vineyards. Where else are you gonna get them?
You know, I'm telling you, we should start doing some voice casting for you.
How so?
You can sign up, and you can use your voice talent with my equipment.
Ooh.
And people pay you. Somebody knocking?
No. It sounded like thunder or somebody fell over, one of the two.
Oh, klutz. But no, you can, there's like Fiverr and stuff that you can be like, yes, my name is BLT and this is my voice. You know what I mean? And then they have you say different things or can contract you to put things together that they use for commercials or ads or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Never really thought about voice casting. I always like talking into a microphone. Like, I used to sing for church years ago. And when the mics were on, I was up there just talking. Y'all coming on stage? Let's get this party started. All the time. It's something else when you hear it on speakers. When you have a system, it's inspiring.
It is.
For me, it's life.
I think that it makes life better. I've always been into music and running music or doing music, creating music, whatever. And it just is, it fits me. So.
And it's different when you have a system because then it just it brings it all together. You're already expressing your soul, but when your soul is magnified through sound, it's so different.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I used to get in trouble for saying that, I wanted to sing. It's different. I like being up there. It wasn't because of the people watching or the people hearing. It was the sound. And they're like, oh, you're a bit egotistical. I'm like, no, just give me your speakers and I'll leave y'all alone. Like, I don't need to be up here for you. I'm here because of the sound. It does not have to be my voice even. If you've got a certain guitar riff, if you've got that good beat, I don't care. I am mentally not here when that's playing.
What do you think it is about music that does that to us?
It's got to be something stimulated in the brain, but I don't know. Because I can hear a certain note, like the song could be garbage. and you hear that one note, and you're like, rewind, play it, and you feel it. You feel it deep. Like, I wouldn't even call it the pit of your stomach. It's so much deeper than that, where you get like, I think there was a meme on Facebook that said that you've got a heightened sense of intelligence if you get goosebumps when listening to music or something like that. I'm like, I get that, but it's hard for me to understand when somebody doesn't hear it. You can play it for somebody, you're like, did you hear that? And they're like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
because it doesn't hit them the same.
Right.
Yeah. And some people are, I mean, for different music does different things to different people. And it's kind of like alcohol or drugs. Like, everybody has their own what they like, you know. But I do find that no matter who you are or what you listen to, you have one song that touched you in some way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Typically, and resonates with you. Like, oh yeah, like. And I also think it's funny how music can bring you back to a certain moment in time.
Like a smell.
Yeah.
You can almost have a smell when you hear that music, too.
Oh, yeah. All of your senses, you know. But music, it does something to you. Like, you'll hear a song that maybe you haven't heard since you're on that yellow bus in high school. You know what I mean? And it'll come on, and then all of a sudden, for just a second, you're, like, sitting on that back seat of the bus. You can feel the air. You can feel the people around you. And you're there just for like a split second, you know what I mean? And then there's not a lot of other things that do that to me or that can bring that out in someone else.
Right.
So I think music is really special in that area.
And I think sometimes you need to be brought to those memories because it's not like something you think about on the daily. You're trying to get through the day. You thought about what happened yesterday, a week ago, but have you thought about what happened 15 years ago? Have you thought about, you know, like you can't remember names or what people were wearing, but you remember that feeling.
Do you ever close your eyes and think about like that one kiss, or like, you know what I mean, where just you can just almost be back in the moment. You know what I mean?
It's serene, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it is. There's not a lot of other things that can really resonate within me the way that music does, and I dig that. So that's why we look up to our music gods so much, right?
Right. And, like, for me, it's not always, like, some people question, like, why do you like this song so much? You know, the lyrics are garbage. I'm like, but it's the music behind it, or it's vice versa. Like, that was some damn good lyrics. I felt that 5 lines. If you've ever heard of NF, I'm not a huge rapper fan, but that man has got powerful words to say.
Sure.
And I don't know. And, like, even, like, you know, like your mumble rap or your new age garbage, it's the beats. You hear it in the club and you're like, that is a nice bass drop.
Right.
Play it over.
Right.
I'll dance to this song. Don't know what they're saying. Some of it's too provocative and nasty, but I like the beat, but it sounds good.
Yep. And I also find that those types of songs, I usually fill in my own words. Like, have you ever, like, done karaoke, or maybe, like you'll, I don't know, there's that Damon Wayans talk show, not a talk show, but that show, that game show where you had to, they would play a song and then it would cut off and then you would have to do the line and you couldn't screw up on it because if you did, you were booted.
Okay.
Right? So it's like that, but there's so many people where, like, you'll hear a song and be like, oh yeah, I know this, I know the lyrics, and then your lyrics are totally not matching the words of the songs.
Oh, I'm that way. Okay, there was one song, I can't remember what song it was, but for years I thought it was one thing. It was Young Man was the original lyrics. For the longest time I thought it said Yogi Bear. How I got the lyrics out of that, I don't know. And then I got corrected. I'm like, no. It was a bit embarrassing because who the heck's going to sing about Yogi Bear? I think I kind of just aged myself there. There's a comedian that does that. He'll, like, it sounds like this. He'll play the song. Well, he'll say what he thinks they said. Play the song, and you're like, oh, damn, it really does sound like that. It's pretty funny. I'll be like, I should do that. I think I get a lot of them wrong because people don't enunciate properly.
And I'm not a great enunciator, but when I was in Madison, there's this place called Captel, and they did closed captioning for like TDS kind of stuff. So for people with disabilities or whatever, you would type what they say, and you had to do it like exact. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like we're in a courtroom?
Right. Or you had to not like read back what somebody else is typing.
Yeah.
You know, with their inflections and things like that.
They have games like that. I forget what it's called, but there's a game where you have to write out something, and then the next person, pop it. The next person has to draw what you wrote, and then the next person has to write what you drew. Oh my God. Fireworks. So, and then you go down like the line and see how close the last drawing or sentence was to the original.
Yeah, that's kind of like telephone, where you say something in someone's ear, and then you have to whisper to the next, and the next, and the next, and see how that's changed by the time it gets to the last person.
And that's how rumors are a thing.
Part of them.
Some
people are just malicious.
People are nasty.
Don't fuck with me.
I'm too old for that stuff now. I'm like, oh, you heard that about me? True or not? I really, whatever. At this point, I'm living my life. I don't care.
Yeah. I have a lot of stories told about me, and I'm like, really? I wish I would have been there.
Right?
That
serious.
Sounds like a good time.
Serious. A lot. I mean, being a woman, I mean, I can only imagine what a man goes through, but from being a woman, I mean, the stuff that goes around about women, I'm like, sounds like fun.
I like the black one better.
I'm going to try it.
It's not as angelic.
Angelic.
Even though this is Angelique.
I like that one, too.
You like this one?
Mm-hmm.
I like the other one better. Sweet. I mean, it's good. It's almond-flavored sparkler.
Mm-hmm.
Does it taste like almonds?
I can taste the almond. But it's more of an essence, not like your plant. Or
so you want to know something funny?
Nut. What?
When I was growing up, I read some book about, like, Civil War.
Okay.
And these doctors and having to take care of these wounded vets, you know, out on the field. And they were doing amputations with decent, you know, without sanitation and, you know, crazy stuff. And
we can't survive the COVID-19.
I know,
Side note.
Yeah. Can you say overreact just a little bit, people?
Just a little.
So, anyways, the book was talking about how the doctor could always tell when gangrene, you know what that is?
Yes.
Set in because it smelled like almonds.
Really? No. I would have never thought. I always thought
Me
that
neither.
gangrene would probably smell like a...
But first of all, can you see like some guy with a bloody stump and the doctor's like, come here.
Right? You smell like nuts.
It smells a little almy. You're going to have to take the arm, sir.
Put that as a flavor in my cake.
If it smells like almonds, it's got to go.
Oh, that's fascinating. I like fun facts like that.
Yeah. I'm full of them.
Same. People always think I'm smart, and I'm like, no, I just read and retain random stuff.
I know.
Right.
I'm a fun fact book.
Fun fact book. All right, tell me a fun fact.
Dogs have like 12 times the amount of sensory nose scent organs, scent cells, olfactory receptors. There we go. As a human does. Fun fact.
I kind of figured that. I didn't know it was that many. If I knew it was enough to, you know, they can smell cancer and they can smell.
When you fart, they can tell what you ate yesterday and probably the day before.
That's so nasty. Thanks for that. Penguins have knees.
Fun fact.
There you go. Fun fact with Stephanie.
Fun fact with Stephanie.
Oh, let me think of one.
Oh, hold on.
Everybody
we need
knows
a little harp on that, I think.
Oh.
It sounds like a tumor.
Oh, no.
It sounds like a tumor.
It sounds like a tumor, but it's not a tumor.
That's what the dog said.
Oh, it's all the dog's fault. Fun facts with Stephanie. Here, you got to listen to it through the phones.
Okay.
Oops. Fun facts with Stephanie.
It's magical.
I know. It's,
I'm a princess.
it's magically delicious.
Delicious?
Ah.
Where's the pizza?
Just without the onions, so without the onions. When I was a son, I was a son. What the fuck does that mean? Drink another one, Bo.
You were a son at one point and are still.
I do shine.
You do shine. Moonshine, that is.
Texas tea. Well, first thing you know, Bo's a millionaire. Ken Fook said, "Yo, move away from there. Sheboygan's the place you ought to be." So they loaded up the truck and moved to 10th Street. Sheboygan, that is.
Where's your clap button? Hit it.
Oh. And the crowd goes crazy. Thank you. I can't take... I'm sorry. Thank you. You're too kind.
Getting emotional over there.
Is a tear coming down? It is good to hang out with you.
It is good to hang out with you, too. It's been a minute.
It's been a long minute. Crazy how things work.
When nobody has anything to do.
Yep. We should be in quarantine more often.
No.
Yeah.
I lose my mind.
You know, I think everybody that's alive right now, this would be the first time this has ever happened in their life.
For quarantine? Yeah, I could see it. I've gone through a lot. I've had the Y2K.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Clintons. I had the Twin Towers.
You had the Mayan calendar end on 2020 or 2012, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can see that over there on the wall.
We went from no computer to dial-up to high speed.
Mm-hmm. To
Rotary to home phone to car phone to cell phone to smartphone.
say that 10 times really fast.
I don't even remember what else, Lip. All of the above. Phones.
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 Deep thoughts, Stephanie.
Do you remember that floral couch that your grandma used to have?
Mm-hmm. The one with the plastic on it or without?
Well, I prefer the ones with the plastics, and I think there was a reason. Now, there was a joke made about the plastic.
Which was?
It was pretty perverted. It was an easy cleanup for when Grandpa and Grandpa got busy. But...
Oh, there goes it through my nose.
You're welcome. But I always thought that it should have plastic because have you sat on those wool-like spikes coming out of that couch?
Yeah, they were a little pricky.
A little? They go right through your clothes. It's like sitting on a fuzzy cactus.
Yeah, those little...
It's like burrs.
Well, there's those, and there were the tacks that they used to use to keep the upholstery on, and you used to get those.
Oh, right.
too.
If it gets too old, you're just like, yeah, I've been impaled, and now I have tetanus.
I know how Jesus felt.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I
Hold
don't
on.
think he got that.
Hold on.
through his butt. What was that one?
Oh, hold on.
Nothing happened. Is this thing on?
Oh.
I heard a beep.
I know. Oh, it's because your hand. I get it. I know why.
Oh.
This has this thing where if you put your hand over it,
Yeah.
it mutes and lets you hear
Oh.
everything outside of it.
Fancy.
I don't know.
Didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, next topic.
You haven't told me how you were.
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
So, I had all this stuff in the USVI go on. and was able to prove my grievance to the people that monitor attorney actions, I guess. It's called the grievance office. I was able to prove that he misrepresented me, that he never gained the records, that he never did anything that he should have done. In addition to that, the opposite counsel also did not do anything that they were supposed to do. So, long and short of it is, I'm in a really good position, and now things are finally moving forward. Yeah, well, it took forever because 2 hurricanes went through the islands, completely decimated them. It took a while for them to get their infrastructure back up to start doing court cases and shit again.
Okay.
They've been backlogged. My civil case still hasn't been heard. It's the grievance office, but now that the grievance office is done, that's speeding up the civil case. So it's funny how that happens.
So what are the next steps?
So I think we got... basically, the grievance office is making their ruling and doing their... what's the term that I'm looking for? They are putting punishment on him and trying to figure out, or going to rule what they're going to do. It's pretty big. He could literally be suspended as an attorney. He could be disbarred as an attorney. He could and should end up being in prison because of what he did. All of those things I just have to wait for. So long and the short of it is had the grievance office said, sorry, Bo, you didn't prove your case, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Oh, right.
But I knew that I was in the right, and I kept double checking myself to make sure that I wasn't just making sure that I had 2 solid feet to stand on, you know what I mean? And that I wasn't misunderstanding something. Because, quite frankly, when it comes to law, there's a lot of...
It's a loophole.
Well, there's just a lot of leeway that they can get away with a lot of bullshit. They have to be pretty fucking extreme in what they did in order to get nailed. And
they must have been. They
were, yeah. And so all of it's turning out to be good. On the flip side, though, it's allowed me to kind of get what I have here together, to start doing the podcasting. I'm working with one of our state representatives with medical errors in the state of Wisconsin and trying to change a lot of the legislature that was kind of snuck in by Scott Walker back in like 2014-ish. And, just trying to make a difference. It's funny because I just had this podcast, the one that I sent to you. It was with my foster brother. I was in foster care from 3 on. So it wasn't because I was a crazy guy. It was just my parents were pretty fucked up. So anyways, I had this podcast with him, and he said, you don't need to do that. You don't owe anybody's shit. And I said, but it makes me feel good, and I'm making a difference. And in the long run, that's what's important to me, So whether this comes off the ground and becomes something great, that'd be awesome. But if it doesn't, at least it's helped me heal and got me into a position where I could hopefully help others and make a change. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's admirable.
You got to look at the cup half full. If you look at it half empty all the time, you're not going to be a happy person.
I always say at least there's something in the cup.
Very true.
At least it's not empty.
I miss talking to you.
Yeah, why?
I'm
insightful.
We have good conversations. We always used to have good conversations.
We did. It wasn't really a dull moment.
No, and you actually have a brain in your head. Shh.
Yeah, don't tell me that. I'll get a little egotistical.
So what's in the near future? What's going on with you?
Hopefully getting married. We'll see. Because with all this COVID-19, it kind of puts things... I wouldn't say on the back burner because nobody should ever put their life on hold because of something that's going on. Because...
life is short. You never know. And, Yep.
Well, yeah, like... I don't think anybody should just stop should stop living their life because of a condition. I mean, I go through chronic pain every day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I have extreme migraine conditions. I'm in and out of the doctors because of it. You know, it's not going to stop me. What my goal is to achieve. Achieve what? I don't know at this point. You know, I have dreams, I have ambitions, but to achieve something. I thought you quit smoking. He's like, this is getting intense. I need some nicotine. I need some nicotine.
Listen, nicka.
What?
Nicotine, nicka.
It's the black bottle.
Does that make me mulatto from like here to here? No,
I'm sure we all have some of that in us. But, yeah, day by day, do I necessarily appreciate the crap that I have to go through to get to that point? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
But what I say is that if I have to go through something that's troubling or something that's difficult or something that's, you know, made me question who I am, my morality, then I'll be able to tell that story to somebody else, and somebody can take that wand and now achieve what they needed to because they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as people don't feel alone, I'll take the brunt end of it so that I can say, hey, you're not alone. I got a story for you. Let's get through this. You are now a better person. You know.
That's kind of why I'm doing this podcast stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. You just kind of hit that on the head.
Really?
Yeah. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I want to make a difference. And if you need a voice, if you need a platform, I fell through the cracks because there's issues with, no one can currently bring a medical malpractice in the state of Wisconsin, not realistically, because you have all these safeguards protecting the doctors and the insurance companies.
Right.
And so that robs anyone from justice or recuperation when things are happening that are horrible, right? Mm-hmm. Medical errors are the third leading cause of death
It's so bad.
in the United States. And so when you have such a large amount of people being affected by medical errors, because we're all human, right? It's not like we can blame the doctor. It's not like they did something on purpose.
Immortal.
But when shit goes bad and things happen, then we should have transparency and we should have the ability to find out what happened, learn from that, and take care of the victim, right? And currently it's not like that.
No, and I like that word transparency because I think people categorize themselves as being a solid color of some sort. And that makes a person boring. Like, what do you have to offer? You're not just here to live and die. You're here to be clear.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and I'm kind of a closed book. I can talk about certain things. I have ideas. I have opinions. I'm very, opinionated. But when it comes to certain stuff, unless somebody asks me a direct question, that answer will never surface. And that's through childhood trauma. But at the same time, I'm able to share the fact that ask me a certain question, I'll let you know. So it's not that I'm completely closed off. I give people breadcrumbs to achieve that.
Let me follow a breadcrumb. What happened with you? Tell us your story.
It wasn't a complete direct question, though. That's very broad.
Share with us the essence of your story for as personal as you wish and choose to get.
My story. Well, when I was 3, and I do remember this, I was forced to watch my sister be molested, taken advantage of through my young teens, raped in my 20s, and it's, I'm not trying to downplay that, but that is so common. And it sucks and it messes people's head up, but it's not something my mother said to me yesterday, actually, I was talking to her. She said, there are victims and there are survivors and there are overcomers. And I used to believe you want to be a survivor, not a victim. You don't want to be victimized and constantly, but at the same time, you don't want to be a survivor either. Because you're still victimizing yourself. You're still reminding yourself, I survived this. Well, good for you. That's applaudable, but at the same time, you want to be an overcomer and be like, I made it through this, and this is who I am today. not because of that, but because I chose to be what I am today.
Right, right. No, I respect that.
Yeah.
I think that we all overcome, or not overcome, but we are all faced with adversity, right?
Right.
Some of us more personal than others. And for all of our stories, there's someone else that has it worse.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, because it happened to us, it's the most important story ever because it's your story.
Right.
Right.
And I always say pain is pain. I don't care if you got raped or you stubbed your toe. No, they're not the same. They're not even on the same levels. But to some point, you both understand a certain amount of pain.
Right. Yeah. And there's a commonality in that.
Right. And everybody should be sensitive to everything. Everybody's got something. I don't care who you are. Even not justifying people who are in prison for the things that they've done, but we're talking rapists and murderers. You've got to think about what did they go through that drew that line. They weren't born that way. Yes, I will agree there are some people born evil. There are certain things that were not developed in the brain properly. Mama ate something wrong or smoked something that wasn't going to help you develop. Mm-hmm. But, you have to wonder. There's a series on Netflix. I forget. I think it's I Am a Murderer or something like that. And they're these murderers that are able to tell their story and how they got to that point. And most of them were from childhood abuse. They weren't that person, but they turned into that person.
You have to shut off your emotions and feelings in order to deal with sometimes those experiences, right? Otherwise, if you allow yourself to feel, it's too much, right?
It's a gradual thing. I mean, you do need to at a point.
Well, I'm just saying,
in control.
Some of those people, that's why they shut themselves off.
Right.
And that's
then
why
they don't feel, and then
right. That's why they become a psychopath because psychopaths typically can't feel emotion. They don't have
narcissism.
Yeah, they don't have this ability to have empathy,
connect
with what they're doing and the impacts on the other person. It's all about their own gratifications and things like that.
They need to feel that their life is worth something, even if it's taking something out of it.
Right.
Which is sad.
It is. And, that's why, for me, my goal with this whole podcasting thing is to create a platform for people that don't have a voice. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people, even though it's a small percentage of all of us, it's still a lot of people. For instance, my background check, you know about that, right?
Yeah.
So that's about 1% of the people. That's still 3 million plus people that's happened to.
Right.
Right. Maybe not to the extent or as horrible as mine, but some error is on their background check. Just like with medical errors, the third leading cause of death, we're looking at 250,000 people that die every year as a result of that, which is 0.07%. You know what I mean? So
but it's still people. And if one person dies by medical error, that's a concern.
Absolutely.
And I think people get so surrounded by numbers with this COVID-19 thing. People are like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's only 0.0 something. Or it does matter because it's this many people. Right. And it's like, it doesn't matter. You know what I've noticed with this whole COVID thing is, people stopped talking about other deaths. Have you heard anything about murders, people dying of cancer, people dying of abuse, people dying of just old age? That's how I want to go in my sleep. But if you have to choose.
Yeah, I would choose to go in my sleep too.
I haven't heard anything. And it's sad because this COVID-19 thing has not killed as many people as predicted. That has constantly changed. Now, it has killed a lot of people, and that is heartbreaking. But it's like, what about everybody else? Us healthy people, are now confined to our homes where we might not even get it, depending on our immunity. It might just come up as a flu bug. But at the same time, it's not even affecting our generation. So it's like we're the ones cooped up.
Well, and I totally agree with that to a certain extent. The biggest thing is that there's not a drug currently that treats it like there is the flu. We have antibodies to a whole host of things. So when people get sick, we can treat them. With the COVID virus, currently there's some speculative drugs that were used for like malaria and other kind of things that are maybe going to work, but there's really not a lot of testing to support that currently. Whether that ends up being true, it's anybody's guess. So,
I think it just pushes people to be healthy. Because, like, for me, with my chronic stuff, I have a lot of gut issues, which in my studies, your gut actually has basically its own separate brain. It doesn't need the brain to work. And, I've had 4 or 5, I can't remember now, colonoscopies, 34 years old. I had most of those in my 20s. So I'm more susceptible to have that lower immunity. But there's so many natural things out there that I think, because this is such a huge pharma thing. Pharmaceuticals, we're going to get our money, we're going to mandatory these vaccines. And I think with people, if you take care of yourself, your immunity is going to be fine. You may get it, you might get sick. But if you've noticed, a lot of people aren't getting that drug. They're at home and they are surviving. It is, yes, the older generation, but that's pretty much with any sickness, sadly, with the older generation, that's going to become an issue.
Absolutely. The people over 70. And it's always like grandma.
And that's anything at all. You get the flu, you get the common cold, you get a blood clot.
Do you have a grandma still?
I do.
How old is she?
Think she's 89.
Okay.
I still have all my grandparents.
Yeah. Well, God bless you for that. I think that's amazing.
At the same time, it's kind of difficult because I'm in limbo. I'm one of those people who I haven't really experienced that death to know how to overcome it. And now I'm of age, of maturity, where I would understand it more. And I think it would be more heartbreaking now because I get it. I'm not 5 years old, grandma died,
Right.
I'm 34 and I'm like, my grandmother has lived with me for 34 years and now she's gone. So it's kind of
No, I totally understand where you're coming from. And
I would say I'm blessed, yes, but at the same time, it's like...
But if you were to lose a grandparent because of COVID, you would be devastated, right?
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't have to be COVID. It'd be anything.
Right. But, and so, I mean, I understand that aspect. I understand that we have a lot of baby boomers, especially in our legislative teams.
I'm serious.
That might be a little extra cautious given the situation that, it affects them the most, But I think in the U.S. we have something like a 1% or less death rate. Some other places are as high as 14%.
Right, like Italy. But they do have the oldest generations in Italy and the entire world.
Right. And it just shows you how hard this virus is on people. Even if for us that are healthy and we can make it through it, it's still a hell of a thing.
Right. I had SARS.
You did?
I did. It was one of those, another coronavirus, because it's based off of the same thing, kind of like the flu. But, yep, the flu test came back negative. I was extremely sick. I was talking to some people about the symptoms I had, and they're like, oh, yeah, I had that too, and it was SARS. And I survived that, but I kid you not, I thought I was going to die.
How did it affect you? What were the symptoms?
The symptoms for that, just the number one thing is like with the flu, you're exhausted, right? You get extreme fatigue, but it turned into like my joints, like the flu. It's a virus, so I'm going to always say like the flu. My joints were so sore. Have you ever been extremely dehydrated to where your muscles ache?
Sure, yeah.
Take that and put it everywhere, but you're fully hydrated to where you can't even sleep because if you roll over, you feel like you're ripping your own skin off. I couldn't even, TMI, I couldn't even sit on the toilet because it hurt to place my skin on anything. I could not sit down. It hurt to put clothes on. Now, I wasn't nauseous. I did not throw up. But it was an all over. It was almost like I was paralyzed, but I knew I could move and I knew I had to. So it was a lot of mind over matter. And it lasted for, the worst part was probably a week, week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And then it just gradually started to dissipate and then it was over. But I remember it because it was that bad. Like you have pains in your life you don't remember.
Right.
But certain pains, like I've had a tonsillectomy, I remember that.
Yeah.
I've given birth. I remember that. And I remember having SARS was absolutely horrendous.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing when you have those huge pinnacle moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a time when I was a teenager that I got super sick. I still remember that.
Yeah.
Don't have a name for what I got.
Okay.
But man, I was fucked up.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I was shitting myself and pissing myself,
no.
and I had a fever like 103. You know, just horrible, horrible. When you're talking about that skin thing, I felt the same way. You know, but yeah, you know, when we all have those moments, typically, at least most of us, once or twice or whatever in our lives, where we contract something that just knocks us the fuck out. You know,
Right.
and we remember that shit for the rest of our lives. And this is one of those things that everybody, you know, who's gotten it typically has said it's the worst thing they've ever had to go through.
Right.
There's some people, mind you, that don't have the reaction that some of us do. You know,
Right.
it seems like it's just like they shake it off and they're fine. You know, it really depends on your immune system and maybe the extent that you were exposed.
Right.
They talk about the level of virus in a given room at a hospital, and there's a name for that. I can't remember what that is. But so, you know, when you're in an environment where the parts per million in the air of virus per, you know, like pure oxygen or whatever,
Right.
when that level's really high, the rate of what you get in terms of infection hitting your system that you have to fight off is a lot greater.
Interesting. I never thought about that.
And it makes so a lot of our frontline people, our doctors and our nurses and such, have been dealing with that.
That's crazy. I always thought it was either you're infected or you're not. I never really thought of the different levels.
The viral load, that's what it's called. So
Interesting.
it depends on the viral load of the environment that you're in. So the viral load of these hospitals, especially in like New York, where they're stacked out in the hallway and, you know, everybody's sick, is really high compared to maybe an area where you just have a few people sick, you know what I mean? And you can maybe ventilate some of that off. But the viral load, because you have, you know, every foot there's an infected person,
Right.
you know, is super high. And so the doctors have been, you know, even the ones that are super healthy have been falling because of that viral load and their ability to fight it off. I guess it kind of reminds me of like tainted water, you know. You know, if you drink some water that's slightly infected versus something that's straight out of the sewer, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's where I kind of put my holistic views out there. It's just, you know, because they had a coronavirus outbreak in like, what was it, 81, 89, 80 something.
Yeah, it was before I remembered.
But the number one thing they saw was when they put the gurneys and the people outside, they typically healed a lot faster. And I think that's the problem with this whole, you know, you have to be home, safer at home, whatever people call it.
I didn't know that. Talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit more. So they put the patients outside. Into the sunlight, and that somehow helped them?
Yes. Because one, they're getting natural air. They're not cooped up. It's not constantly, you know, it's more aerated. It's not, you know, you were talking about the healthy doctors.
Right.
They're just constantly being exposed because
Yeah,
there's
you're
no
breathing
proper
all of that
filtration.
viral load in. Yep.
Exactly. And with the filtration system in hospitals, it is not from the outside. Hospitals are typically the same air you breathe out is the same air you're going to be breathing in. They just go through actual
scrubber,
filters.
yeah.
Right. And, you know, with this kind of virus, you know, they sneak through the cracks, obviously, because, you know, you even get MRSA or whatever that's called. You know, that's a skin condition. Oh, what do they call that before it turns into MRSA?
Staph?
Staph, yes, thank you. That's kind of like, you know, it's just constantly there over and over and over. And that's why I feel like if people don't get out of the hospitals, if you're very sick, just put them outside in the sunlight. Sunlight is extremely healing.
Well, and you have that UV aspect too. I know that.
That's why I say people, take your vitamin D, take your zinc.
So, like, they have, they sell UV contraptions where you can put your phone in, and it desanitizes your phone by soaking it in UV light, right?
Right. I would then put these people in some tanning beds for a couple minutes a day. I mean, even for me with my depression, it's a mental thing, but it's through the whole body. I will go to the tanning beds, and I'm not a tanner, during the winter because it's too dark, it's too cold for my mental capability to withstand not getting depression.
Well, seasonal
Pop
depression
myself in
is-
for
yeah.
15 minutes, a couple times a month, and I am so much more mentally healthy.
Well, not to mention, you look like an albino if you don't have any sun.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, you are a pale girl.
I'm an extreme mutt. Believe it or not, because I am Indian, I'm a heck of a lot of European, and I Puerto Rican as well. So
Okay.
like I got my parents, my
So you got all the pretty
ancestors
parts.
were like, "Hey, we love interracial," which is great because I hate racism. But when I lived in South Carolina, I looked like an Indian. I was dark, and now
Wow.
living in Wisconsin, I just match the snow. But I'll tan very quickly, but I'll lose it very quickly as well.
I also have, I think it's my great, but there's a an Indian ancestor that I have, and my skin typically gets really olivey,
Yep,
especially
I'm
during
very
the summer.
olive. It's very hard to find foundations. What tribe do you know?
I want to say everybody says Cheyenne, but it's not Cheyenne. Ugh. Maybe it is Cheyenne. I don't know. I'm totally, yeah.
I'm Potawatomi.
Are you?
And sadly, my mother was the last line of enough American Indian blood to get any benefits from that. But
Well,
yeah,
regardless, I think that's awesome that you
it
have
is.
that ancestry.
It's really cool that I found out because my grandmother did that whole ancestry thing. So that's how I got to find out a bunch of it. Like my great, 2 greats or 3 greats was General Lee.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, General Lee was an ancestor of yours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if maybe it's the alcohol, but that kind of makes you a little sexier.
Well, it depends on who you talk to because,
Alex, better look out, buddy.
When you look at the wars and stuff, he was the opposing side, but he was also very against slavery. So I had to do a lot of research because I didn't want people tainting a name for no reason except for a title. And I think that's pretty shady. So I did my research, and he's a very honorable person.
I have some really respectable people in my family line too, and I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, it helps tie me to my past. I don't know them, but knowing that I'm related to them,
Mm-hmm.
I have those same genetic traits and qualities,
Right.
and it helps me to appreciate both who I am and where I came from.
Yeah, geez.
So, for instance, my grandmother grew up my mom's side grew up during the Great Depression, as did her brothers. Her one brother, Bill Shuett, opened Milwaukee Savings and Loan, which became, it was Milwaukee Security that then became Milwaukee Savings and Loan. Opened up a bunch of money back in the 70s so that people could buy homes for the everyday guy.
Oh, that's amazing.
And President Reagan and such commended him and wrote him up a award or some crap like that. When he passed away, he was worth $1.5 billion.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
Nice.
1.5 billion.
It's very American. See, now that's the American, people need to think about the America.
Well, and so to me, it was impressive because my grandmother also was very successful. Now, she wasn't $1.5 billion kind of income, but I think when she set up her trust, it was 4.5 billion or 4.5 million.
So, I mean, that's...
Which is nothing to sneeze at, especially
Right.
given when she grew up. And she made her money through real estate, and for her time, there wasn't anyone like her, and she was really well respected. And I always looked at her with nothing but respect and admiration because I wanted to be like, I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to her relationship with my step grandfather, who was around for 35 years of my life previous to them dying, was the best relationship I ever saw.
Right.
They never fought. He was always respectful, always backed her up in an appropriate way, not overly, not underly. Right? It was
equals.
just enough.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
And so I look at that as a example of what I'm trying to get out of my own life.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult to find.
Yeah, in today's world with technology. There was a rumor in my family that I was related to, or is related to, a Princess Diana.
Oh.
Now, it's such a far line that it's hard to get the direct, ancestry from it. But I always thought that was cool. I'm more into European history. I know too much European history, but we're talking old history.
Well, you're talking to someone that's traveled
old history.
I like the history.
I like the history because I kind of find American history a little dull. It's a little boring.
We're new.
Yes.
We only go back a couple hundred years.
I know. And we're talking 13s and 16s, and we're talking before Christ stuff. We're talking Egyptian mythology way back. I am obsessed.
So I've been to Rome.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Athens, Greece.
Need to go there.
So if you ever do go to Athens, be careful.
Why?
That's the only place I ever got robbed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I have a great story for that. You want to hear it?
Yes.
So I stayed in Plaka, which is downtown Athens, Greece.
Okay.
And I stayed literally about a quarter mile from the Acropolis. And the
what?
The Acropolis.
Oh, okay.
So, the Parthenon and all of those great buildings are on top of the Acropolis.
Architecture.
Yeah. And so I downtown Athens is interesting. There's literally like dilapidated, falling down buildings next to like a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Packs of wild dogs run free.
Really?
I
would make friends.
I know, right?
I'm gonna pet that dog.
Was eating at this restaurant. They put the tables outside that spilled across this street, this old street, next to this dilapidated, falling down building. And this pack of wild dogs came running through, and there's probably 8, 9, 10 of them. And they were like, "Oh, grab your food," because they come through and they just grab what they can and keep going. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So anyways, so we got done eating, finished down to the Acropolis. They close early. They're not open late, and they close at like 3 p.m. And we were getting there kind of late. And so this old guy, and I'll show you this. Actually, I'll pull it up while we're talking. This old guy was giving tours for a fee or whatever, and then there was also the actual Acropolis that gave their guided tours officially. And so this guy was this old Greek that I think probably did a better job than anyone else that I could have ever have wanted to give me a guide for the Acropolis.
So when you going back? Because I'm going with you.
It's too bad you got a man, girl.
Yeah. We're hoping to go to Ireland. We were going to go to Ireland. We were just going to, elope.
Okay.
Instead of spending the money on that.
Okay.
And go to Ireland for a couple weeks, and then this COVID thing happened. So maybe I can get some cheaper tickets, but we'll see how long our savings last out without having jobs.
Here we go. Let's see if I can get the volume on this shit.
And when was this?
2002. Oh, why am I not having any playback? Nope.
Let's stop at a good spot.
So this guy, God, this is no good without a kind of volume. Why am I having issues? Everything's up to... This doesn't play well with this when I'm working on everything. But anyways, so this, I'll just try to explain it just a little bit. If you ever want to see it, it's on my Facebook. But this old Greek guy is so animated in the way that he is giving his tour. He's like, in 2,539 in the year of our Lord, you know, and just like going through and all this crazy stuff. It was amazing. And, you know, showing us the amphitheater and showing us the Parthenon, and ended up meeting this Greek actress on this particular trip, you know, and so all of it's on film, and just a crazy, amazing experiences.
So what was that location?
This was the Acropolis in Athens, Greece.
And what did they do there?
That's where the Parthenon is. That's where the original Plato and Socrates were located.
That's what I thought.
The great schools of thought where people would get together and discuss, you know, the thoughts of the day, as well as...
We would totally be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So, you know, and for me, I grew up on, I encourage you to listen to my podcasts, but the last one and the first one that I did was with my old foster brother, and we didn't have a TV. Right? Okay. We read, and we had National Geographics that went back to the late 1800s.
Oh, amazing.
And I read and read and read, and that's... As an adult, I've been able to connect tangibly with the things that I read about, and it's kind of a full circle. And so for me, that's how life has been. It's been great.
That's awesome. I love history so much. And I do know a lot of American history, because there are certain things that are fascinating, and then it kind of just bleeds into the next thing that happens. So
this right here is in Cyprus, which is an island.
I love that name. If I ever have a daughter, I'm going to call her Cypress. I'm obsessed with that name.
Nice.
Is it a plant? It's a flower, isn't it?
Cypress is a cypress tree, I believe.
Yeah,
or a plant.
But it's like a red. Does it have red flowers?
I don't know.
I love that name.
Because I connect it with the island. Right? So Cyprus is an island off of Turkey and Israel.
Okay.
And literally back in the day, kings of old would be buried there.
Okay.
It was very prestigious.
Oh, that's really awesome.
And so you have ruins that go back 5,000 years, and that's actually what we're looking at here. Some amazing structures. What they have here is some reconstructions of the site itself, of how it looked, you know, that kind of thing. But then they had like mosaic floors. They had a lot of Romanesque type of things. Visited monasteries that were located in the mountains that didn't have paved roads to get to, only dirt roads. And so you would need a 4x4 vehicle to get up into these areas. And I had a friend of mine, Matthew, that I'm hoping to have a podcast here with soon. And I went and visited him. He originally was in Madison, and he was here on a visa. I thought he was going to school at UW-Madison because he's an amazing guitarist, but actually he came out here to work for someone that was from Cyprus, and ended up meeting him. He was literally a pimp. Like, that's all I can say. He was a guy that you wanted to be like. He had a way with women, right? It was just amazing. He was super gifted at everything. And his guitar skills and his lyrical skills were out of this world.
So he could serenade you into love.
Right. And so he ended up going back to Cyprus. And when he went back, he started doing like Greek soap operas and different things like that, you know, and then touring around, playing with his own band. And Matthew, unfortunately, ended up having brain cancer, and so they ended up operating and removed a bunch, and he's no longer the same Matthew that I know.
Oh man.
He I call him the crazy terrorist, right? Because he does. He looks pretty out there.
Ethnic.
Yeah, especially living in that area where you don't have what we have here.
Right.
And having all of the medical issues that he's had nothing but a struggle. So I'll be having a podcast here soon, hopefully, with Matthew. He was making some pretty wild threats, I guess, against himself, because his spot has been, what he's been going through over there has been so difficult given his conditions and not having a support network. His mother had passed, and that was pretty much the only person that he had to kind of fight life with, and being stuck in an area that's, I would say, very similar to Afghanistan.
Okay.
Not a lot of options, not a lot of aid, not a lot of things for people that have become disabled. You know? So.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, but hopefully some of the monasteries that I was at, things like that.
Is a monastery?
Yeah.
It looks like a.
I know.
Does not look like a monastery.
I know, it's pretty amazing. This was a nunnery,
like
and that actually was Matthew. Very.
The long hair.
The ponytail.
Oh,
yeah.
I was looking at him before. I'm like, hey, he cute.
Like super stud, and now he's extremely disabled. And mentally it's been difficult for him. So, but you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So,
he's a looker.
Yeah.
He's kind of like that pirate thing going on like that. You dangerous? I'm going to find out.
Oh.
It's interesting to see the architecture here. It's kind of almost Spanish-like.
Yeah.
To move on from that, I saw your brain clicking. Moving on to architecture.
Yeah. So see how these roads are? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is literally like on some of these cliffs on this mountain, it was like a sheer 4,000 foot drop.
Oh, damn.
Where at least, I don't know, maybe I'm way off on that. Maybe I don't know. But
it felt that way regardless.
Right. Either way, it looked like you were looking down at the base of a mountain and you were at the top.
Yeah.
So, especially with no paved roads, And
it probably used to be all horses, and then people had to get used to driving cars on that. Like, horses would have been so much more secure, honestly.
Yeah.
Because they're smaller. Were they pretty quick drivers? I heard Mexico, they were pretty like...
So, this was Matthew. He had his 4x4, and this is us going through the mountains of Cyprus, exploring those monasteries.
Okay.
And his father owned a olive plantation. Super cool guy. So I ended up helping with some stuff around there and exploring Cyprus and the monasteries with Matthew. And when I left, his father liked me so much and was so appreciative that he gave me 2 bottles of liquor that were at least 40 to 60 years old.
Oh, wow.
One was this bottle of Master's brandy that was back from like the 1920s, right? And the other one was a bottle of ouzo that didn't have a date that I could find.
Oh.
And both of them were dusty, like way dusty, But here I am, an American that came to his home, and that was, they fed me, they treated me like family.
I heard that Greece is very good at the food and hospitality.
It was amazing.
Did you go to France?
Yeah. So I only spent a short bit of time in France, and it was amazing. Mm-hmm. Very militant. So your cops aren't your typical cops. They look like Green Berets with like fully automated weapons.
Oh.
At the airport, yeah.
They're packing.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck with them.
No.
You know what I mean?
Is it true they don't like Americans?
They're
like
very,
a little snooty?
I would say so, but
Yeah.
I can't tell if it's necessarily that they don't like Americans or it's just
their-
that the way that their accent comes across.
Their culture
And
is just...
their demeanor. Yeah, because it's a cultural thing. Because I know that the Greek people were very gruff, right?
Oh, are they?
They're like, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, you know? And I felt kind of the same way when I was in France. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, yeah, yes, oui. You know, just, and it was more...
So it's not a sexy language?
I don't know. I didn't find any sex. Maybe there's.
It's story times with Bo. Go.
She
Did
said
you find
we,
a
and I said
French
yes.
woman?
What's that?
Did you do it with a French woman?
No, I don't have too many experiences abroad. There's a couple.
Okay, good. Because you can't go abroad
Right.
and be single and not...
Right.
Like, because if I was, no offense, babe, but... I mean, I think that's what everybody, I mean, we're human. Come on.
I didn't have like one of those cocktail experiences. Remember
weren't in a
Tom
hostel?
Cruise? Remember Tom Cruise back in the day? And like he was working on an island and he meets some chica and they fall in love and she's only on vacation. So it's this brief romance,
Yeah.
I didn't have anything hot like that. I just had a hookup like, hey, baby, like, and she's like, oh, you're so cute. You know what I mean? Like,
Was it any good? I mean, was it exciting or is it just a story to tell that you did?
I don't know. I don't have any of, I don't
Do you have any
those
romantic stories from over there?
No.
Aw.
I don't know. I don't have any. Well, okay. So there's one.
Oh.
I was coming back from Jamaica on a flight, and I met this beautiful, beautiful girl.
Here I am. I'm just kidding.
From Chicago.
Oh.
And so her and I ended up dating. Like,
Oh, you did date.
yeah, like we hooked up. I was in line going through customs. So we ended up exchanging numbers. I ended up coming down and spending the weekend, and then we ended up dating for a little while. She drove this super hot Mustang.
Yeah?
Yeah, she
I
was
have a
fun.
super hot car.
Yeah, that is a super hot car,
It is
especially
super
with a
hot.
girl. And it was a 5.0. It wasn't one of those little weak, like, 4.0s or, something crazy.
My engine's a 2 point... Shoot, I forget. 2 point something. It's a big engine.
Is it 2 something?
It's a heavy car, though. That's the problem. It's like, I want to go, but we're going to
I am
go.
impressed.
That's
Your
funny.
seats look all sexy and comfy, and they're all leather, and
And heated.
they don't look cheap. It's not the cheap leather; it's the
Whomever
expensive
owned it
shit.
before took very good care of it. That's what I was impressed with, because it didn't stink. It didn't have, like how when you buy a used car, you get that
Funk,
essence of someone else.
a
And
little
yeah.
ADP.
Yeah. And it was very clean. I was very happy. I felt like an adult. I finally, because I'm an 80s baby. So growing up through the 90s, the 90 babies, we got screwed, man, with the whole idea of you can be anything you want. You can get anything you want, can afford, And that's not how the world turned out for us. And so you should always work hard. And that's what I got from it, is that was a crock of shit.
Right.
You have to work hard regardless.
Right.
Because when Clinton was in office, it seemed all well and dandy. Everybody was doing well. But what we didn't know until after he left was that he put us in debt.
Come here.
He put us in debt, and then we got screwed. So you couldn't be who you wanted. You couldn't go to college for ish cheap. Your parents weren't paying for your college. Your parents weren't paying for your marriages. The old school, the original, had gone out the window by the time we became of age for marriage, college, partners, anything. The only thing I think we got out of it was, yay, I can be gay. And I mean, great. I am so happy for you, because if I was, I'd be the same way. Like, I want to love who I love, like, have at it.
Right.
I don't care who you have sex with, but when it's a heartfelt and a mind felt and you're, into that person, I don't give a crap. But I think that's the only good thing.
What's that new sexuality that I've heard a lot about? where you're not in love with a male or female. It's
pan.
Yeah.
My best friend Danielle is pansexual, which means that it does not matter what your sex is. It matters who you are as a person. And she could fall in love with a man or a woman or whomever chooses they want to be, you know, whatever is out there now. So basically what that means is I love a human being. It does not matter if you have a penis or vagina or whatever you choose to call yourself.
Sure.
So pansexual. Mm-hmm.
You know,
and honestly, I would consider like myself a pansexual. I am very much straight, but in recent years, you know, with the idea that it's being more acceptable, I don't know if I would say I'm sexually curious. I would say I'm more pan because I have loved women, but I have not put that sexual thing into it. And I think that just perverts and it just makes love perverted. And I think that's unfortunate. So like when it comes to love who you want. I don't care what you do behind closed doors and what you do in the bedroom. That's up to you. And I don't think that's that's nobody's business.
Yeah. Private.
So, yeah. So, like, for me, I think I could go either or. It depends on who you are as a person. Luckily for me, I've found somebody, which, quote, is acceptable to my parents. But, you know, if it wasn't, then, you know, it's who I am as a person. Who cares? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, pansexual is what it's called.
I think that...
I need to say, I love wine. Put that out there.
It's not wine. It's champ.
I love champagne. I love wine with a little extra bubbly.
The bubbly. I think that there's definitely been a sexual revolution.
Do you want one? Where did I put it? Oh.
The way that things were compared to the way that things are. And I think that when I was young, I remember a lot of gay people that seemed very repressed. Mm. And so you would get these breakouts of something where they were finally like, fuck it, I'm going to be me. And then it was like, I'm gay. You know, like, whoa, where the fuck did that come from? You know, and you kind of always knew that they were gay, but... They had to be ultra gay. I know. Well, yeah.
And I love that.
And I think that's, whether you're in love with a man or you're in love with a woman, the fact that you can find love, you know, that's the important thing in this crazy world we call life.
Yeah.
And I absolutely support whatever your relationship preference is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know,
my thing is like, I'm so glad that we're getting to that point where it's acceptable. Do I like the push of certain agendas? No, I don't think anybody loves a certain agenda. I think everybody just wants to be them. But it's more of, I'm glad to see lesbian, gay, whatever you want to be, is they don't have to be a feminine gay, or they don't have to be a butch female, because I've met a couple of gay guys who love macho men, and I'm glad that it's okay to be macho and gay. And I am a woman, and if I were, you know, into a woman, I would want a very, very beautiful feminine woman. I wouldn't want a, quote, man woman. And I love that it's more acceptable to be, you can't tell, because it's none of your freaking business.
Right.
I do love that.
And before it was more, you could tell, and it was a way of breaking out of that mold.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you
almost had to push it so they noticed.
Right. And now you don't have to do that. You can just be you.
And if you want to be a diva gay man, you have at it. You know what I love, too, is for a long time, I absolutely adore drag. I wanted to be a drag queen for the longest. I still do. And I'm glad it's more acceptable to be a woman and be a drag. Hence,
is it
Lady
weird
Gaga.
that I like Tu Wong Fu? You ever see that movie?
I haven't.
It's with Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes and John Louis Leguizamo, or whatever his fucking name is. Excellent movie.
Yeah.
Especially for you. highly recommend you look that up.
I wanted to be that woman drag, but it was
Yeah.
always drag for men, and it's not acceptable. And I'm glad that it is, and I'm thankful for Lady Gaga for a lot of reasons, because she is a woman and she can be drag, and
Right.
it's accepted. Now, it's still on the getting there process because she is famous, so it's more acceptable to be whatever you want to be when you're famous.
Right.
I'm not. If I dressed drag and I walked into a gay bar, would it be accepted? Not necessarily, and that's sad because I love makeup. I love dress up. Most girls do. We did it all when we were kids. I mean, I had 2 other sisters and a brother, and we made my brother dress up. He's straight as what you could think was straight would be, but it was something we loved, and I think that it shouldn't be just a man thing. So, hey, gay men out there, let me be a drag queen.
Oh, I know a couple that'll help you with that.
Or at least let me do your makeup, please.
Right.
I will
Russell,
make you look fierce.
Russell, if you're listening.
I know Russell. I freaking love Russell so dang much. Gosh, I haven't seen him in forever.
I love
He's
Keisha.
amazing. We've gone to a couple parties, and we've always just had conversation after conversation. I never did mention that I would love to be drag, but I love to hear his stories. You know, it's almost like I could live vicariously through him.
Sure.
So, you know, it was okay, and it made him happy, and I loved that he accepted me for me, and I think he loved, of course, that I accepted him as him, you know,
Yep.
or her, you know, whichever you prefer. And I got to go to his shows, and I got to, you know, see their dress-up room, and I was accepted as me, and that's how humanity should be. I don't
Absolutely.
care. Women, men, gay, straight, I don't care. Let me come into your show and let me support you.
Right.
It always made me really excited, and I was so hyped. I'm one of those crazy people in the background, like, yes, my friend. Super supportive. Nobody should know what's in your pants. That is what's inappropriate. If my 9-year-old son cannot go to school and talk about what is in his pants, nor should we in our 20s, 30s, and above. It's inappropriate. We all have sex. It's a natural thing.
Right.
It's nobody's freaking business. And that's what I hate, that this society had to come out and go, hey, I have sex with men, or hey, I have sex with women, in order for it to be like, oh, okay, they're like the same gender, cool. But it's sad that they had to push what they do in the bedroom in order for it to be acceptable.
Right.
That's what's disgusting about religions and society.
Yeah. You know, and there's a stigma whenever you have religion tied into things.
Mm-hmm.
My idea of religion is this. Every culture has one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was put in place naturally to explain the big questions of life.
Right. And
Like,
hope. To
who-
give some type of hope.
Who are we?
Yep.
Why are we here?
Yep. Purpose.
Who created us? What happens when we die?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think there's one more that I'm missing. But regardless, that's the purpose of religion, to explain those things in a way that brings cohesion to society.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would be killing this caveman's guy to get his girl
Right.
and bringing her back to my cave. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And it's humanity to wander. There is nothing wrong with questioning. I grew up completely Baptist. I mean, I grew up in a very religious culture. And am I ashamed of it? Absolutely not. You know, because it broadened my mind. Did it broaden everybody's minds? No. I still have the occasional conversation, I will call it, with some of my family about said situations. But for me, do I believe that there's a creator? Sure.
Is there somebody out there?
No. I just want to play. I believe there's a creator because I'm mortal. I can die. There's got to be something greater to be able to create, or for there to exist something so beautiful as a tree or a flower or a human in its own complexity.
Mm-hmm.
Do I push that upon people? Absolutely not. That's how I get through life. And I think that's what religion, I don't like to call it religion. I call it people's faith or spirituality or what drives them. Religion is such a nasty term. And sadly, it's turned into a nasty term. But You know, I've met several gay people who are very religious. They believe in God, and they're the flamest of the flames, and good for them.
Yeah. No, and I completely hear you on that.
It's that whole agenda word again. You know, people pushing a type of agenda that I don't like.
There's definitely, there's your queens.
Yeah, there's your queens. Hey.
Hey, girls.
Love you. Y'all.
You know, one thing that I always heard growing up is, you're gay, you just don't know it yet.
Well, I mean, if you think about biology, shall we go that far in deep, is, you know, my religion growing up, like I said, was Baptist. And they, you know, gay is bad, lesbians bad, that whole thing is wrong, wrong, wrong. And then we create things in our food, such as, you know, MSG. And sadly, I've had to, you know, I was in a marriage where my husband at the time, he became sensitive and allergic to the chemicals they put in our food. And which made us research a ton of stuff in order for him to not have seizure-like migraines when he would have a Dorito chip, when he would have too much corn syrup, or even when he would have alcohol. He cannot have any of those things. Which, of course, made him
I knew we should have got 3.
Yeah, right. Is there more in here? There's some more in there. Mix it. Oh, mix it.
Is there more in there?
Talk about flavor. Flavors with Bo.
No, it's empty. See how the bottom is?
Just tip it in there.
Watch.
What? Oh.
It was only like a quarter of a teaspoon.
But, you know, they started talking about how, like, a lot of wrestlers and stuff was going
It's
through.
only 7:22. We can get more.
It feels like it's only been 20 minutes. Get more. How, you know, they were started saying that certain wrestlers and bodybuilders were coming out of the closet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, do I believe you're born gay? I don't know. I mean, that's up for discussion. That's not for me to say, because then that would mean that I have a say in who you choose to love. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree that I should be able to say, were you born gay or not? That's not up for discussion, I believe. I don't think that's for me to say one way or the other. Am I straight? Yes. Am I pansexual, as we discussed before? Yes. But it's not up to me to determine, you were born with too much estrogen, or you were born with too much testosterone.
Right.
This. I'm not a scientist. But there are scientific things out there and scientific proof that soybean has a very high level of estrogen, and women are actually discouraged to take soybean supplements or eat soy while pregnant with a male, because it tends to heighten the level in the male fetus to more of a testosterone level. In that case, you know, it could very well be that they were born gay through science. Not saying that's how it's done. That's just kind of my brain working. But at the same time, you think of bodybuilders and wrestlers and such, the highest muscle mass you can get is through eating soy. It is a quick fix. It is a muscle builder. It is something that makes you look bulky very quickly, outside of whey, outside of proteins. It is soy. And a lot of them started to, I don't want to say become gay, because not all of them, of course, weren't. But I think that might have played a part in that, where it started to distort your brain chemical components and your synapses and all that stuff to determine.
The ironic thing that I've read, I can't tell you where I read it, but from what I read, if I understand it correctly, the percentage of people that are gay has not changed through history. It's still relatively the same. And I want to say it's something like 3.7 or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, then discard everything I just said. Because I don't know the percentage. I think it's just more acceptable, and more people are like, screw you, I'm going to love who I love.
Right.
Because I used to be persecuted so bad, just like Christians used to be.
I'm sure. Every
certain type of religion, who you are, whatever you want to think of, I walked across the street, has been persecuted.
Right.
It's sad. And I love everybody. And I care. I mean, you're trying to help society with your medical stuff. I'm trying to help society with, I don't judge. I do not care. I care about who you are as a person. I care about your health. I care about, making sure you're mentally stable. That's my goal, is to make, if it's just a small glimpse of a 5-second interaction, if I made you smile and say, hey, yeah, there's some good in the world, that is my purpose.
Right. No, and I'm right there with you. I think that it's super important to be you, and I also think that it's important to try to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And so when you can mix the two of those in harmony, I think that's where life becomes a little easier, or at least, more acceptable.
Yeah.
Without as much stigmas.
And I don't think there will always be 100%, harmony. Like, even with Lady Gaga, she's got her haters. She's got, certain groups that are against her. But at the same time, baby, make a new song.
Right.
If it's not harmonizing correctly, make a new song.
I love Gaga.
I do, too.
She really is an amazing woman.
Yeah. I actually just watched a documentary about her the other day.
Would you learn the most?
She's been through some shit, and she is human, and she's non-judgmental. She's also got a chronic illness. She has fibromyalgia to the extreme.
Yeah,
like
I heard
my
that.
mother. My mother's got it really bad. Like, I have a little bit of it, but it just makes her human. And to find a woman who actually has a platform that has gone through some stuff and is a non-judgmental person, that's what people should aspire to be.
I agree with that, I think for Gaga, she's following her own voice, right?
Now. And her name is Stephanie, too. Hey.
Oh, Stephanie. You think she goes by Stephanie on an everyday basis? Or do you think
I don't know. I think so.
I would like to think so.
I think her fans, and I think she's becoming more known as Stephanie.
Okay.
That's who she is.
I would hate to lose my name to fame.
Yeah. She put something out there, was kind of like, they wanted her to be a certain something in order to grab attention, but at the same time, she was beautifully eccentric.
Sure.
Which I am beautifully eccentric. So I think it helped. Were some of her things extreme and agreeable? Now. But, high five, man.
Yeah.
You went out there and you did it. But, I don't know. It's something to look up to. And like Demi Lovato, too. She is one of my favorite artists. She's got an amazing talent, and she's been through some shit.
Get a little closer.
She's been through some shit.
Yes.
But that's what I hope to be. Sometimes I feel like I miss my chance, though, because I'm already in my 30s. And I have a voice, and I haven't used it, but I really haven't had the opportunity to get out there, or I've been too scared because I've been compressed in a tiny box growing up. The lid's open now, but I haven't quite popped out.
Life is full of growth, right? I don't think you ever finally get there. I think you just keep growing.
I could be like Morgan Freeman.
All right, Morgan might be the exception.
Okay. He should be our next president. Let's vote.
I actually have a friend that's friends with him.
Shut up. Who's your friend?
She's not. She's more of the friend of my friends, but she is a model, and her name is, she goes by Mooney.
I know who that is.
Yeah. So she...
Melissa?
Yes. So Melissa is friends with Morgan Freeman.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I was going to be a model once. I was 1 inch too short to be runway, which was what I actually wanted to do. And then I did a casting for modeling. And Tyra Banks, she is one of my modeling idols. She told me, well, she didn't tell me, but she told the world, do not take a modeling gig that charges you because if they want you, they will pay you.
Right.
And thankfully for her, could I have been a model? Yes, but I would have had to pay. I think it was only like $47, honestly, but I was kind of short on cash. I went to this modeling agency. I did all the shoots. I showed my portfolio. And they actually wanted to hire me, but it was billboard stuff.
Okay.
Which is always a start, but they wanted to charge me. And I was like, nope, Tyra said I can't. So I didn't.
No, I mean, that's good advice. I mean, obviously Tyra knows, right?
Right. And I wanted to be on her show so bad, America's Next Top Model.
Sure.
But like I said, I was 1 inch too short. Exactly 1 inch too short.
How come you couldn't just put some extra high heels on?
And that's what I always said, but they wanted you to be without shoes. You had to be 5'7", and I'm exactly 5'6". Tyra, I love you.
Yeah. And I'm just saying it's their loss because you, my dear, are beautiful.
Thanks. Which is probably why they wanted to put my face on billboard. I can walk in stilettos. Don't get me wrong. Them boys don't got nothing on me. I think I'm up to 46 pairs of stilettos.
Holy shit.
I like shoes.
I could see you as being kind of the dominatrix type.
In shoes?
No.
Or in general?
Just in general.
Especially
with the shoes, you know, like I said, lick my boots. You know.
Oh, God, if
crazy.
I was a real queen, I could have that power. But, yes and no. Both?
I'll buy that for $1.
I'm an even trade. Wait, that sounded bad. I'm even on the spectrum of yes and no.
There's balance.
Dominant and submissive. I'm right in the middle.
That's good. I like that.
I am very much a believer of exchange of power. I do not want to hold it all because I don't want to be
exchange of energy.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, it's it's the same type of concept. Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be the holder of everything because I don't want people to bow to me.
Sure.
But I want to be respected. And at the same time, I want to give as much as I can, but I don't want to be looked at as somebody who is a follower. I'm very much an alpha. I'm definitely a leader, but there's a respect and a joining of the people that I want to achieve.
I respect that. Yeah, I am more. I try to be the same way, to be honest.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't need to lead, although I prefer it.
Well, yeah.
You know?
You have strong ideas and you have good results, so it's kind of hard sometimes to back off from an idea that you're like, I really think this is going to work. And it happens to be part of your intelligence as well. It's like you literally already know the outcome.
That's kind of how I feel with this, right?
Yeah.
You'll find it interesting when you come back and you listen to it later.
Yeah? Oh, God, you're going to make me listen to this?
Well, I'll sign it to you. So
Perfect. I get to
it's
hear
just
my voice.
the quality and not only the equipment and how we're coming through, but also of our conversation, right? And I think that's the interesting component about things. So
You can definitely tell, and I absolutely love psychology, so it's kind of fun to pick apart, like, who was leading, who was this or that. I don't know. It's a good time.
Mr. Charlie Marley.
He's so beautiful. I'm going to take him home. He's going to be my new best friend. I'm going to be my new best friend with the wrinkles on your face.
I think of Shar-Pays as...
I need one because they're wrinkly and adorable.
I
And
know.
they're small, but they're medium and they're...
They're like the perfect size.
Yes, because my dog, is cat size. But she's loving, and God, she's hitting 7 years old. And I don't know what I would do without her, because you build a bond. She's annoying as fuck. Like, sometimes you just want to belt her across the house. But, I mean, then there are the times she snuggles right up to you and she makes that pose and you're like, okay, I love you forever. So, it's sad because when she goes, because everybody's got a time. And dogs, sadly, have less time than we do, and I don't know what I would do.
So, Shar-Peis are even less. You know, their average lifespan is only 8 years.
Shut up. Mm-hmm. Why?
Are
they a breed of a breed of a breed type of thing?
I don't know if it's like a genetic. No, they're purebred.
Okay.
This guy is, anyways. They actually came from China. They were bred to hunt wild boar. Oh. And they say that they love so much, they burn out and they give it all away.
Oh my god.
So, to be honest, I don't know why they have the shortest lifespan. I think of all dogs, or
you would almost think that they would need the longest because of that love.
He's so funny. He tends to jump and run like a gazelle.
Yeah.
Like
That's my dog.
I would visit my mother, and he would jump off the deck to go chase her golden retriever. And when he did that, if you were to like put a cape around him, he would look like a little mini super dog. You know what I mean? Just the way he would launch off, it was so funny. You know, his front legs would be behind and his chest would be out. All he needed was a cape.
Oh, that's so cute. I've seen your pictures when he was a puppy. I looked on your Facebook and oh my goodness, the wrinkles on his legs even.
No.
I can't. Where do you get these? I'm going to buy one.
So I got him off of Craigslist, and he came from Germantown, where they had it was a really well-to-do black family that was in a trucking, but they had an Olympic-sized pool inside of their house.
Oh my God.
I know.
Go you.
Attached to the living room. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And then they had like this litter of dogs, and then they had 3 of their own, and evidently they had bred them. They were going to get one fixed, but by the time they went to get it fixed, it was pregnant again.
Oh, okay.
And so I ended up getting Charlie out of that batch.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Shar-Peis have issues with their eyes. I got really lucky with him. Mm-hmm. He was borderline where I could or I couldn't do the surgery.
What's wrong? What do you mean?
Because their eyelids roll inlet or inward, and so the hairs brush against their eyes.
Oh, it scratches them.
Yep, and it can cause them to go blind.
Oh, man.
Fortunately, he used to have a lot of droopiness.
Okay.
Like discharge from the eyes and such, but he's grown out of that.
I'm good. They have such tiny ears. I can't. So cute.
No. It's like, hey, baby.
My dog.
What's your name? He's such a pimp.
He really is. That's how you get the ladies. Woo! You weren't kidding. See,
he's
right
like,
up
give
in
me
my
kisses.
face.
Give me kisses.
She is a Dutch Hound mixed with a, what is it called? Beagle.
Okay.
Which is why she howls at you when you come in, and does her little mohawk.
Oh.
But she's so verbally protective, but not protective nonetheless. I'm sure if anybody were to harm me, luckily I haven't gone through that yet, she probably would do her. Mm-hmm. I've never seen it though, but I've never been in that predicament. But she's fantastic. She's a follower though. Because, like, the moment I stand up from the couch, she's like, I'm in. Where are you going? And I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom or I'm going somewhere else. And she's like,
come on, let's do this. Come on.
I'm in. Let's go. We're in. We're in this together. Thanks. She will literally sit on the carpet in the bathroom and wait for me to finish. Good job, Mom. And then she'll follow me back.
That's love.
I don't know if my cats love me or they're just, basic cats, but my male cat, I call him Fluffernut because I didn't have a name for him, and usually I come up with very unique names for cats. I've had some my one cat is Kafili, which means sun in Egyptian, and my other one is Onyx because she looks like an onyx stone. I have all these weird names, but I called it Fluffernut because it is so fluffy.
Fluffernut.
It's the thickest fur. It's like rabbit fur where it's real thick but really, really soft. Mm-hmm. He will go to the bathroom at the same time I do, but he goes in the bathtub. It's an easy cleanup. It is kind of disgusting, but he always has to go when I go.
That's all right. He likes to sit in front of me when I take a shit.
What you doing?
He's like, hey.
I want to know what you had 2 days ago.
And then he'll sit in front of me, and then he like whips his head around like, so then I'm just like, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah. If I pet my animals when I'm on the toilet, they will jump on my lap, so that's a no-go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm fond of it. But at the same time, going back to our earlier conversation about dogs and their olfactory.
Yep.
He must love me just sitting there because sometimes it's not pretty even for me. And if it's
not
like a million times.
Not even would do that, right?
Well, actually, it's funny that you say that. When you're with someone long enough, that doesn't even fucking matter anymore. Am I right?
No.
Like your man might be taking a shit, and the next thing you're like doing your fucking makeup. Like, hurry up, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
I do the thing where I can do my makeup when my my significant other is taking a shit or whatever. But if I'm taking a shit, I still have yet to get comfortable with that.
Yeah, I need my space.
I don't know why, but I think it's because I have like stomach issues. Sometimes it's noisy, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's really strong. Like, I can control what's going to happen. I can, I can control the time that it happens, but I can't control what's going to happen. So in that, it gives a sense of insecurity. I can urinate in front of me. I'll pee in the fucking shower. I don't care. But when it comes to that, like, I won't do it, but you sure as hell can do it. I'm going to brush my teeth at the same time. Like, I don't care. Whatever. I got spray to clear that out.
I used to like to shower with my exes. Not all the time, but you do.
I think everybody does.
And
for one, it conserves water.
That's what you say, right? Second, if I pee, it scares athlete's foot. That's all I'm saying.
That you can clean up right away. It saves toilet paper.
Yep.
That's how I see it. Like, some people are so controversial about peeing in the shower. I pee in the shower and I'm not ashamed. Because I figure if I pee in the shower, it goes down the drain. I can rinse it off right away. I am super clean. And I don't have to re-dirty by going to the bathroom.
Right.
I ain't ashamed.
Too funny.
It's so funny how people have a problem with that. But I don't care. Because I do it.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, tough.
Tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough. That's funny.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my dear, what do we have on the time clock?
A bit.
2 hours.
Whoop, whoop.
Do you have anything left that you want to talk to people about?
I have no idea.
No idea.
No idea. Do you?
Not on the air, anyways. So,
all right, cool.
We can definitely call this a wrap.
Shut her down.
Get it down. It's not a tumor. Get to the chopper now.
It's not a tumor. Goodbye.
Oh, wrong one. See, still getting used to all these little sound effects things, right?
Which one did you push?
Oh, I was doing the Arnold Schwarzenegger, and instead I got crickets.
Get to the chopper now.
Get to the chopper.
It sounds like a tumor. It's not a tumor,
Wow, okay.
but it sounds like it.
It sounds like a tumor. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our podcast. I would love to thank Stephanie Soerens for making our evening possible.
I'll be back.
Whoop, whoop.
And we would probably definitely like to have her back. I think
Probably.
she is definitely insightful. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to our Digital Voices podcast. If you have a topic, something you want to listen to, something you want to talk about, something that is on your heart,
Maybe you fell through the cracks. Maybe you got something you got to get off your chest and you just need a platform. Give us a holler on Facebook. Until then, you guys stay safe. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.